happens.
Yes, the Dolphin Army. And he also thought that this computer had stolen his penis at one point.
Well, as it does.
Yeah. So this researcher, John C. Lilly, cautions Marcia Moore against going deeper, but she continues the book.
Going deeper, i.e. taking more K.
Yeah, and she believes that ketamine is going to save humanity, that to discontinue her experiments would risk the future of mankind, and that one day throughout the land, people will have ketamine clinics where they can use ketamine, and this will usher in a new dawn of humanity. So there's something very prescient about many of the predictions that she makes, but immediately after this book was published, she disappeared without a trace. And to this day, nobody knows exactly what happened to Marcia Moore. So I was obsessed with Marcia Moore. After the second season of Pharmacopoeia, Vice Films had a huge infusion of cash, and you all offered to help me develop it as a film. This is 2018. That's how far back this goes. So the first step was getting the film rights to this book. Yeah. And for 1 year, I worked with the vice producer, Mimi Packer, and a few, he's great. We worked together trying to figure out a way to get the rights to this book, but both of the authors were dead, and the rights had defaulted to their...
Who are the authors?
This woman, Marcia Moore, and her husband, Howard Altunian.
So it was them?
Yeah, they wrote... it was a book.
And wasn't he under suspicion if she disappeared?
Yeah, he was very much under suspicion, yeah.
Because it's either two crazy drug freaks murdering their wives, which is boring, but a great story, or it's time travel and aliens, and we know how the world ends. It's pretty good.
Or there's another possibility as well. There's one really weird possibility.
Yeah, I like it.
One strange thing that was going on when you look at the history of computer research is that there was an enormous, disproportionate, puzzlingly large amount of early computer research on astrology computers.
On astrology?
Astrology computers. This was a huge emphasis of early computer research in a way that is something that no one would ever expect. Before you could get word processors, there were commercially available astrology computers. And one of the strange ideas is that the military was funding some of this research on astrology computers, and a CIA whistleblower named Miles Copeland claimed that the CIA was building compromised astrology computers for distribution to foreign heads of state to give astrological readings that would be favorable to U.S. interests. This was
Which is bonkers.
Bonkers, but maybe true.
Maybe true. Okay,
maybe true. This is especially interesting because during the Reagan administration, there's very solid evidence corroborated by many different people that the Reagan family astrologer, Joan Quigley, was making fundamental decisions. And so again, using an astrology computer to do these calculations.
I don't know what an astrology computer is.
It's exactly what it sounds like, because doing the actual mathematical calculation of the positions of the planets is very labor intensive.
They have computers for astrology.
But what if you had a computer that could just automatically calculate the position of all of the planets, something that you can now effortlessly do with an app on your phone? But this was a huge innovation. It would save so much time. But the issue is, I think this is actually like one of the early iterations of one of the major issues that we're currently facing is, can you trust the computer?
Sure.
Who programmed the computer? Whose code is giving you these readings, and what are their interests in providing this information?
So bring us to number 3. So we've got either the husband murdered the wife, or whatever the lover murdered her because she was going to drop dime on him for being a K user, or they figured out how to travel through time and figured out that the aliens are on us. And what's the third one?
Some kind of strange interaction with government astrology computer researchers and political astroanalysis, which she was an early proponent of. She'd actually written an entire book on political astroanalysis. So this idea of harnessing the power of astrologers to influence politicians, which
sounds crazy until Reagan.
And also her brother is doing stuff with the CIA. The entire family is connected to Manhattan Project scientists. There's all this weirdness surrounding.
And who put out the book again?
A computer company.
That's like a Severance type thing. Like, it's like the computer company, and they put out the book, and the book is just like them being taped, and that's weird.
It's really weird.
Got to make that movie.
I have to. So then 2018, we spent the whole year trying to get the rights to it. We couldn't do it. We kept trying, couldn't get the rights. Eventually, we did get the film rights.
From who?
In a very convoluted arrangement that maybe I shouldn't even characterize entirely, but it happened.
Wow.
And we now have the rights to this, and got to get some money to make this movie. It's one of the greatest stories ever told.
We got to make it. That's our mission this week, is to try to get funding for the greatest story that's never been told.
Didn't Pulse Films just get a bunch of money?
Let's go talk to them. I wanted to bring up that on the CIA. You were bringing up the CIA. Like, how many drug programs have the CIA funded? Like acid and smuggling heroin and coke and crack and Iran Contra. Like the CIA seems intertwangled, if you want to use the clinical term, with drug research, distribution, manufacturing, etc.
Yeah, and of course these are hard answers to question because there isn't always the best transparency with CIA. They don't have the best.
Well, heroin we know during Vietnam, that they smuggled in. Iran Contra we know, working with the cartels. Crack we know. What about the LSD and the crazy psychotropic?
Oh, definitely. I mean, they definitely were doing psychedelic drug experiments without question. There's the death of Frank Olson. There's the death of a guy named Harold Blower. I don't know if you know that story.
No.
He was a tennis player who got a divorce, was depressed post-divorce, checked himself into a psychiatric hospital to deal with his post-divorce depression. They started doing drug experiments on this guy who's just like a normal dude.
Right.
And they injected him with so much MDA that he died. They gave him a fatal overdose of MDA, and it was a really high dose. It wasn't like he was sensitive or had a congenital heart defect or something that killed him with MDA. That's known. They were involved in a lot of weird drug experiments, and the exact boundaries of what they were and weren't involved with is to this day unclear. I just actually uncovered a new one recently that isn't publicly
What is
really
it?
known. It's very strange, and it's kind of a
As opposed to everything else we were talking about today.
it's kind of a long story, but it actually comes back to Alexander Shulgin, this chemist that I was talking about
Yeah. And
previously.
you worked with him at some point, didn't you?
I visited him many times before he died. I mean, he's my hero. He's someone who I really loved.
I saw him.
And he created an enormous number of drugs, but because they were all psychedelics, back to what we were talking about previously, no one ever thought you can develop these as medicines, but there was one exception.
Did he think that you could?
He thought they had medical value, but he was also a realist and understood the...
He's a chemist, but was he kind of like a hippie?
He definitely believed in the psychedelics
Yeah.
and thought they had medical value. I think he was more scientifically, medically oriented than counterculturally oriented, but he was part of both. And he had created this one compound that was a psychedelic that wasn't quite psychedelic. It was almost like a microdose intrinsically. It never became psychedelic. It was kind of, but there was something there. And it was developed through phase 2 clinical trials, and then clinical development was discontinued, and nobody ever knew why, including Shulgin himself. And I did recently find some reason to believe that there was CIA involvement.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
And can we know about it, or are you going to keep that for that's film number 2?
It's a good project. Yeah.
All right. I love all of this. And our job now is to get the story never told about potentially aliens and computers and time travel and at least murder and heiresses and weirdness and disappearance.
We've got to do it.
Before we go, what are your thoughts on RFK? What are your thoughts on his, like, because he comes across as a lunatic, but then a lot of people come across as lunatics, and then you talk to them like, yeah, that makes total sense. So, like, what's, like, obviously I'm a layman. You're as a scientist, what do you think about it all?
Well, it's a mixed bag, I would say.
No,
so you have certain things that I very much disagree with. I think
like what?
Kind of horrifying that you have to get a prescription to get a COVID vaccine unless you're over 65 now. I don't think that's going to help Americans. I think it's going to probably cause a lot of problems. I think the anti-vax stuff is very dangerous. I think some of the concerns about food additives are valid, and I'm in favor of removing dyes from
Or at
food.
least let's just check into it.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea. I think having an emphasis on dietary health is a good thing.
Fine.
Promoting saturated fat seems like not a great idea. It seems
I didn't know he did that.
like beef
I also
tallow for
didn't need you
everything.
needed a prescription for COVID. Is that a new thing?
Yeah, it's a new thing. It's as of August.
Really?
Yeah. Which again, this is the sort of stuff that frightens me. I think there's a really big difference between not wanting to get a vaccine yourself and limiting
Not being able
access to. It's kind of like if you want to get an abortion, that's fine, but you shouldn't prevent other people from getting abortions.
Yeah.
This is the issue for me. When it comes to opioids, he has been opposed to 7-hydroxymetragenine and seems to support its prohibition.
I don't know what that means.
It's a kratom alkaloid that is on the chopping block at the moment, and his reasoning was that the heroin that was seized in the bust that was described in The French Connection, which was written by Marcia Moore's brother, Robin Moore,
No.
that the heroin that was seized in the...
Hold on. The French Connection was written by the heiresses who disappears and predicts the world's end by supercomputers. Was that her brother?
Robin Moore, who was also involved with the CIA. So he wrote The French Connection, and the busted heroin that was collected in this investigation was stolen from a crime locker in New York City. And
Is that true, or is this made up?
I looked it up, and it apparently is true,
Wow.
or was reported in the New York Times. RFK Jr. claims that the theft of the heroin that was confiscated in the investigation that was described in The French Connection resulted in widespread availability of heroin at a lower cost, which resulted in him becoming addicted to heroin. Therefore, heroin and opioids should not be available because it will make people more likely to become addicted. Therefore, he opposes the continued availability of 7-hydroxymetragenine.
Because he got addicted.
Because he believes
shouldn't have
that
them.
the theft of the French Connection heroin resulted in heroin prices dropping and increased access to heroin that resulted in him becoming addicted to heroin.
That is some convoluted. I've got to say, when anytime you mess with the Marseille case family, it gets all done really quick. That's the timeline and the intertwangledness of that. We've got to delve more into that. We're going to save that for podcast number 2 when we sell this film, which could be the greatest film ever made. Then we're going to have podcast number 2, and we're going to talk not only about time travel, deadly super alien computers, and ketamine. We're going to add in French Connection, heroin, and RFK
Hell yeah.
for number 2. Might be tomorrow. We might travel in time and do it tomorrow. Hi, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Exciting stuff. Thanks for the time. We have to go eat, otherwise we're going to die. Are you guys hungry?
Yeah, I'm just putting up a whole bunch of like fucking trading bots. I don't know if anyone's in here. No, they're not. But yeah, and it's fucking. I'm down a couple of $100 here, dude, and it's pissing me off a little bit. We're gonna have to just sort of pay attention. Like it should be. Come on, bro. It's like, what is this? You hit like this is where I wanted to enter. Truth be told, is this not your fucking like what the fuck, dude? And you soul. Man, yeah, this too dangy. It's too dangy. We're gonna be a little bit crazy. We're gonna be aggressive. We're gonna do a grid bot aggressive. Okay. Same thing with Pingu. We'll have to skip one of these fucktards. It is sort of choppy right now. I don't really give a shit, dude. These all need to go. $11 off of that. It's 20% down, dude. How many of them you got placed? Yeah, we can go up. The Pengu need to go. Pengu need to go. BNB need to go. We gotta put up some long-term grid bots. I agree. I agree. XRP need to wait. Future grid bots, baby. And this BNB, let's do Solana. Solana grid bot. Aggressive. Bullish aggressive. Or just a fucking or just a 7 ace copy. Just split this up. Let us fucking go. No buts about it. No stop losses, no nothing. Future DCA. Sol BTC. Aggressive. 200 whatever the fuck. 111. Whatever. Just go. Yes, aggressive.